Thank you. Meantime, trial attorney and legal analyst Wendy Patrick is with us. What do you make of the testimony so far? Smart legal strategy from this lawyer on the witness stand?
Oh, Marnie, I wish I was in that courtroom. Just listening to the way Caitlin explained it, Michael Cohen has gone from pit bull to poodle. He's sitting up there just calm, relaxed, but it sounds like he's ready. And it sounds like what he's basically done is thought through the fact that his credibility is at issue. Obviously, that's why there's been so much corroboration, and really has put some time into thinking how to present his testimony in a fashion where he will be not non-impeachable, clearly, less impeachable, to portray himself as someone other than this character that he's been portrayed as through the other witnesses is a smart move on his part, but does it overcome all of the hurdles that the prosecution is going to face putting up this type of a witness to begin with? Somebody that has basically been convicted of all things, of dishonesty, somebody with this storied past who started off as really a Trump loyalist and fanboy and fixer, and then has fallen to this extent. Is that going to be something that can be overcome simply by presenting himself well in the courtroom? So far, let me say that cross-examination hasn't started.
Right. So once that happens, the defense will try to crack his composure. How do they do that?
They do it by using the ways in which he is vulnerable. So he's vulnerable in many different senses. And probably the biggest one is the choices he's made in the past. Choices that he himself has described as bad choices, shall we say. He's used far more colorful language than that, but also some of the media and press he's engaged in recently. Remember the TikTok t-shirt that he just wore. He has very much been on the attack against Donald Trump, not hiding his animosity from anyone. However, he also is going to be able to use humor to temper some of that. How do we know? Because he's done that on the stand in the past. So he is a very different witness from Stormy Daniels. He's less resistant to the types of cross-examination techniques that someone like Stormy Daniels is. So the jury's really just going to have to understand whether or not his testimony can be believed regarding what Donald Trump knew. Remember, that's the crux of why he's there. He is the one connecting the dots to the allegations of misconstruing these payments as legal fees. You see Donald Trump having some rebuttal there in the hallway, which of course is not testimony. But Michael Cohen is there for that reason alone, is to be able to tie this up to what he's actually charged with.
And for Trump's legal defense, deniability, how does that factor into all of this?
Well, they're going to have to believe that Michael Cohen is able to testify to Donald Trump's intent. You see how tricky this is? It is tough proving what somebody else was thinking when they did one thing or another. And if you're talking about mischaracterizing these fees, Donald Trump knew they were for one thing and said legal fees to try to hide them. He's basically out there in the hallway saying the opposite. Now, the jury cannot consider that, nor are they going to watch that. But Michael Cohen's going to have to prove the opposite, that no, Donald Trump knew exactly what he was doing when he mischaracterized these legal fees, trying to hide the true nature of them as these hush money payments that had to do with the election. Remember, they've got to tie it to the what he's charged with. He's not charged with engaging in extramarital affairs or sordid, racy kiss and tell stories. He's charged with those business records, mischaracterizing them, and that's what they're going to have to bring back this jury to.
And the phrase handle it, right? Trump to Cohen, according to Cohen's testimony, is handle it. It's pretty ambiguous, right? So without having Trump on the stand saying, here's what I meant by handle it, you're left to wonder.
Well, to an extent, Marnie, and that's what makes this interesting. Many witnesses are going to be talking a little bit, as you've already heard, about what the former president meant when he gave very vague statements like that. Michael Cohen is basically saying, I knew exactly what he meant. He knew exactly what he said. But is that proof beyond a reasonable doubt in a criminal court? Clearly, it plays in the court of public opinion, but is it going to meet the standard here for all 12 jurors? Remember, a verdict has to be unanimous. And it's almost ironic that the least serious of his 4 criminal trials is this one, is the one going forward. And we're even now here just trying to narrow it down. The prosecution is trying to narrow it down to what he's charged with. And you're right, that question goes to the crux of it, is did that prove that Donald Trump wanted Michael Cohen to do exactly what the way Michael Cohen interpreted it? So you're sort of 2 heads removed from the former president, but it's the closest we've gotten so far.
All right, well, bombshell testimony is what we expected. We'll see if it plays out. Calm and composed on the witness stand so far is Michael Cohen. Wendy Patrick, thank you as always.